Hey everybody, Steven here, and today covering some news from Onexplayer in regards to their detachable controller. So they released this information last week. I just want to talk about it and some of my thoughts on this announcement with it. And essentially it's been delayed. I'm going to look at the email that got sent out. I'm going to try and follow along with the notes that I have here so I don't completely ramble this whole time, but just covering what the email said here. Essentially, they found that the angle of tilt, and I'll have images of the previous version because it's going from this tilted slanted version that they were going to have to just an upright version. Essentially, this tilted version that they had here, the angle of tilt caused directional deviation. And it says, although our engineers developed software to correct this deviation, we found that there was still a small chance of error after repeated testing. This does not meet our standard of product, and we cannot accept such deviation. Therefore, they've made the decision, push this back. So the release was supposed to be April, and now it's got pushed back until June. So we are hitting a big delay here. And the big thing that I wanted to talk about with this, two separate points, but the first one is they had the hardware. I did my review, and now my review for this, or I did my unboxing, like first impressions video. And now my review for this, the official review, has gotten bumped because the main selling point of this device is the fact that it has these detachable controllers. You cannot use them unless you actually have this separate product, which they talk about it, but I was excited. I thought, hey, this is going to be detachable. I skimmed over that information. It's definitely my fault on that part. I just assumed, hey, by default, like a Nintendo Switch, you'll be able to detach these and use them without needing something separate. That is not the case. And so I will put a link for ETA Prime's video. I definitely like that channel, and he got an early version of this. I actually applied to do a review on the product as well through their Discord, submitted all my information, didn't get chosen, nothing wrong with that, but you see all these reviews and these videos, the main selling point was the detachable controllers, in my opinion. You have other products out there that have hit the market before this. The AOK Zoe A1, I've done a video on that. It has the 6800U, the AGPU with this, and so it's basically almost the exact same specs as this. It's the same parent company, and so to me, they're basically almost identical in terms of the specs and what the product actually is. Again, the draw for this, though, was the fact that these controllers are detachable and the AOK Zoe A1 is not. So the hardware is there. So they've essentially put this hardware. It's like, hey, we already have it. How are we going to make this more unique? And I think that, of course, with the portable, like that to me makes sense. That's why the Switch, outside of the fact that it's Nintendo, you have the Nintendo game library. One of the big draws was, hey, it's a portable device and you get to remove those controllers. So you could use it as a handheld, or you could go home and just use it as a regular controller. Now I can still use a regular controller via Bluetooth with this. That's great, but it's a separate thing that you're bringing, right? And I've done that on trips, where with this, I was like, hey, I could actually just detach these and then you could just play it like this, right? You can't do that. These are extremely light. That feels great. But because of that, I immediately knew something was off, because if this had a battery in it, it would be heavier, and it's not heavy enough. And you can tell, like I said, immediately to actually have a battery in it. That would have been the smarter choice, in my opinion. Instead, you need this dock thing that has the battery that then will communicate with this. That's a bummer, in my opinion. And I think that would have been the better route. They did not go that route. Maybe down the road, we will actually see a version of that. It makes more sense. But I get it, because part of this device being as beefy as it is it's quite heavy. And so they're probably just trying to save a little bit of weight with that. Now you'll have this external dock that you can use. You just attach it to that, and then you use it when you want to, and it saves, like I said, some of that weight, because this thing weighs a good amount in your hands. So they've essentially put the I don't want to say off the shelf necessarily, but for the most part, it's like off the shelf hardware. They had the hardware there. Wasn't anything that they had to necessarily create for this. They pull that off the shelf. They make this product, right, which is the Onexplayer 2. It's that next step in hardware for the devices that they already have. Certain things like the Mini here, right, and the regular Onexplayer. Again, now it's how do we make this more unique? And I think the detachable controllers, like I said, that's just a smart move. I think that's an awesome thing to have in a handheld. But now this thing just launched. You had the IndieGoGo campaign that launched last maybe like October, November. And so you're looking like 9 months down the road that you actually get one of the main selling points for it. It's finally going to be out at that point. It just launched. I think now you can buy these within the last 2 weeks. It's like they announced, hey, you can buy these off the website and we're going to ship it to you. It's a higher price point, but with that, what we're looking at, like a 4-month delay, 3-4 month delay, again, to get one of the main features out of this. And so I just thought that was a unique way of going about this. The thing I thought, like, why would they do that? And I think it's just they want to be first to the market. They want to try to capitalize on the fact that right now handhelds are just very popular. And if you have one that, again, this has got amazing specs in it. It is a beefy set of hardware. It, in terms of performance, it's great. They just want to be first. But you're selling that notion of like, hey, you have this amazing hardware and this amazing feature, and the feature's not ready yet. So we have that. I think, again, it's a bummer. It's a downside to this because it's such a big draw for this. But on the flip side, they were transparent with this, and I think they made the right call. I don't think they made the right call in launching this before this was ready. So that being set aside, they could have just pumped this out and it could have had this deviation and it could have been an issue, and then people are really upset, and then they have to down the road try and fix it, and it turns into a big debacle, and all of a sudden nobody likes this thing. We've seen that with other companies. Samsung with some of their monitors, where it's like, hey, these things, once the reviewers got their hands on it, they just weren't quite ready with some of the Odyssey series monitors. We're looking at NZXT and the H1 case. And we had Gamers Nexus showcasing that they had issues with this potentially being a fire hazard. And then they had to send a temporary fix for that, which was like a plastic screw. And then they finally sent the replacement. So you had this massive thing that happened, and they're just trying to make up for it down the road. And that's obviously more trouble than just taking care of it at the beginning. And so with this, they are taking care of it before it's, hey, everybody's pissed off, and now they're trying to really just make up for it. And between people being upset about it and the negative press that they would get with that, I think it would bury the device, because we're already seeing a high amount of turnaround with these devices, right? You're already seeing that these are coming out like quite frequently, especially when we're looking at AO Neo, we're looking at Onexplayer, we're looking at different players on the market, even though it's the same parent company, but you're looking at AOK Zoe, what is it, the Win GDP, you're looking at all these different devices. And so how do you stay relevant? How do you innovate? How do you put yourself in a position where, again, outside of the fact that you have all that competition, your main competition is going to be the Steam Deck and the price. How do you make yourself a lot of design that went into this, and I don't know, because the Onexplayer Mini does not have the magnetic component here. I don't know if the original actually has it or not, but that's my other question now, is how much of this stuff are they just quickly pulling off the shelves and trying to apply to a product that they have, versus sitting there and trying to figure out, hey, how does this really work with this thing? I do give them kudos for pulling this, for making the announcement. I just still think this should have been situated where everything launched all at once. And that's really what I want to hear from you guys about. What do you think about the fact that, one, it didn't launch when the actual handheld launched, and then now we have this announcement and they're bumping it? I mean, it's a pro and a con in my opinion. It should have launched with it. That should have happened from the get. It should have been ready to go then, because now they're trying to play catch up with designing and making this thing, running an IndieGoGo campaign and then getting those to people, and then you have the fallout of some of these devices not working, and now they have to get a hold of the company. Mine actually broke on vacation. Luckily, I got it reset and working again. Just a culmination of all those different things. And again, meanwhile, you don't have one of the main draws for it ready in time. But with that being said, they could have just pushed this thing out. I think that would have been harmful. I think they know that. But some companies, like you hear later, like they knew about it way before, but they didn't care. They just pushed it on anyways. I think a lot of companies are wising up and realizing that's obviously not the way to go. You're not going to build trust with your consumers, with your audience, and it's just going to be more trouble down the road trying to rectify that than anything. But again, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this? What do you think about the change in the design? I wasn't too fond. When you're holding this, although this side is angled, the rest of this seems like it's vertical. It's in a box. The angled pad was going to look like you were holding it almost like this. I don't have one in front of me to actually say that that's true or not. It just looked off. Where this being vertical, it seems like it should be more normal, because that's how you hold this device anyways. Although again, having batteries in this, at least the option for it would have been so much cooler, because then I could see myself just setting this here and playing like this. That would have been fine. You do that with a Nintendo Switch. But this won't do anything once it's detached. It has no power at all. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section with this not launching with the actual device, them having a launch date, them saying that there were issues with it. Now they're actually changing the launch date for that. And what do you think, like I said, of the design going from the angled to the vertical base position with this? By the way, it's a separate cost also. So when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about you're going to have to spend, I think it's $60 or $70 extra on top of an already very expensive device in order to get that. And that's why you do have so many people that are just like, I'll get the Steam Deck. I'll just get the Steam Deck, because you can't beat their price point. They make up for the cheaper hardware on the software side. You buy the Steam Deck, you're going to buy a bunch of Steam games that you maybe weren't thinking of even buying, but now you have this Steam Deck that you can buy them for. It's not so much the case with this. They make money only off the hardware, so they're going to have a higher price point with that in order to make it profitable for them. They're also smaller companies. So I get the reasoning. It's just hard when you're looking at a $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 device. That's essentially the price of a very decent laptop, right? But I'm going to start rambling if I keep going. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about this announcement and everything that I talked about in this video. If you like the video, hit the like button for me. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, like the upcoming review for this, that's going to be coming out probably in July now, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.